We are rolling in, Gemma. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Where are you from and where are you currently speaking to me from?
I am from sunny Essex and I am currently speaking to you from my now homeland of Auckland, New Zealand.
I want to hear about all how you get out there. Also, how you lost your accent and did you ever have one? Um, I'm also interested to just anyone that's watching this that is a fitness professional. When did we first have a sales conversation?
I
This is
knew that was going to
amusing.
come up. It's going to have been 2015. Yeah, 2015 would have been our first sales conversation, which is the same year I left the UK when I first went online as a coach.
For anyone listening, Gemma did become a client eventually, but it only took 9 years or so. We've actually, I don't know, we have like had a chat about it. Do you have any recollections of what happened? How many convos did we have? Do you know? Can you remember?
I think we may have only had one, and
Did
at
I
the
maybe not?
time, I actually don't know.
I'm pretty certain I probably would have because I probably
You
would have.
probably would have done, and I feel like at the time I was about to travel, and I don't think the program was a right fit. And I'd worked with a coach, which had put me off working with, or made me dubious of working with coaches at the time.
Before me,
Um,
or before
yes,
that combo anyway.
yeah, yeah. So I was investigating, shall we say, and I thought I needed something that would work with me as I travelled. Turns out I didn't really want to work as I travelled. So, or, consistently enough to be successful, I guess, at that point.
Give us the some backstory then. Go and start from the then before. You've been in the industry for how long?
I went into the industry when I was 18, which is 22 years ago now. And
For context, I
I,
don't know what that means. We need more info, but go on.
um, at 18, I became a personal trainer and I did it on like very old school, on the job training, which meant that whilst working in the gym, you were training to become, or you became a fitness instructor, and then you worked in the gym whilst doing case studies
And
to
what year
become a
was
person.
that? Like 2004, 05?
It would have been '04, yeah, yeah,
What makes
2004.
someone like go straight? I mean, I guess it's probably more common. I don't know. Mine was I did other stuff and then I was like, I don't know what to do. And then I ended up becoming a personal trainer. It was a lot later than I guess a lot of people. Was there a lot of people doing it like straight from college, school, straight into it? Was that normal?
No, I worked very quickly out of school because, family finances. And I was working at a spa at a leisure centre, and you got a free induction to the gym. And I had gone through some eating disorder challenges at the time and knew that I needed to put some weight on and build some strength. So I was like, right, okay, the gym is the way. And I was a dancer and was doing a lot less dancing, a lot less exercise generally. And I also at 18 was a smoker and wanted to give up smoking. So it made sense to try and do something that was healthy. And at the time, the gym wasn't really cool, but the people I was working with were going to the gym. So I was like, oh, I'll give it a try. And the gym induction I had with this guy called Vinny, shout out to Vinny, who I'm still friends with on Facebook, was like just having his best day, living his best life. I was like, this is a really cool job. He was like, yeah, I love it. Just get to chat to people all day, show them around the gym, hang out in the gym. I was like, cool. And I did my induction, which is like a 6 week process. It was quite old school. You couldn't go to the gym without the 6 week process.
So an induction to become a gym member.
Yes. Yeah, you had to have a full induction plus PT sessions included within this process. And I was like, I want to do that. And because I was working in the building, they were like, oh, yeah, we can put you through your course. Like, because you work here, you can, you know, do at the time it was like an NVQ level two. You'll know what that is. And become a gym instructor. I was like, amazing. So that's what I did, and then became a personal trainer, and in the midst of that decided I wanted to teach classes. So at 18 I taught my first aerobics class,
Actually,
on the
aerobic.
fly. Actual aerobics, yeah. The aerobics course at the time was called Exercise to Music, and you had to go to the YMCA in London for 2 weeks straight to learn how to be an aerobics instructor. These days you can do it on a 1 day course,
Mm.
online probably. And and then I was in the gym and someone said, "Oh my God, someone's not turning up for a class." Sweat overcomes Gemma, and I'm standing in front of 40 women teaching them my first aerobics class, and never got off the stage.
Is that the bit
And
you
I find it,
like that more than the personal training, or did you was it
no,
different?
I loved it both equally. It's because as a dancer, that kind of performance element was part of what I did. That performance then turned into more of a love of helping people move in a better way. My why really shifted then. It went from more egotistical to helping others. It's not my workout, it's theirs. And, I shifted what I teach over the years, and I've taught a million different things, which is why people still now ask me, "Can you teach this?" I'm like, "I'm qualified, but no, I'm not doing it." And it's been an amazing experience, and it's such a way to meet people. And I think personal trainers miss a trick when they don't teach classes, because it's a very quick way to get to know people and for them to open up to you and feel like they know you and want to be a part of your world.
And then, so what between then and the time of going traveling? How long was that then?
Well, then I went and worked on cruise ships as a personal trainer,
Or did not
which was
maybe,
my first
or maybe I did. But go
toe
on.
dip into travel. Yeah, my first toe dip into travel, where we got to travel and work excessive hours in the gym for very little pay. But a really cool experience. And that's also where I got yoga trainings and Pilates training. I was teaching reformer, which is now cool again, at the age of 20. Um, and also was realizing that people weren't getting results from just personal training. I was like, something missing here. And I was probably a terrible personal trainer at the time because I didn't have huge amounts of experience. Which is when I then went into nutrition training as well, which we also got at this same gym. We were really lucky to have this nutrition
And when was
training
that then?
program.
That because I got into the industry in 2008. It's not that nutrition wasn't talked about. Like actually, I find it really hard to remember because it was quite a long time ago. But I left with an impression around nutrition. Is why I remember we did it. That in hindsight, I don't think was the most helpful space to be in. Now, I can't remember if they taught it officially, or it was just when when on the down, because I did it live for 12 weeks, whether it was like just the people that were instructing us just chatting away like separately. Like when you do it live, you learn a lot more about like the sort of real ins and outs, as opposed to if you're doing it on Zoom. You can't have those more informal convos, I'm assuming. And so I definitely did a bit, but I don't think that like, I think one of the differences now with the industry is when people come into it, there's a lot more things that they cover. Like it just wasn't really that common. I went and sought the advice eventually, but I can't say that when I finished, it was like personal trainers were doing that much out of the gym. It was just like do a session and then that's it. Like it seems
Yeah.
surprising that even back then they were actively encouraging like nutrition qualifications. I mean, it was pretty good as well. But how come that was the
Yeah.
situation?
It was a council gym, and I guess they had budget to help people upskill and develop. And we did pelvic floor qualifications, we did BOSU qualifications, we did all like lots of different. We had heaps of opportunities, which was really amazing. And now I look back and I feel very, very fortunate that we had the opportunity to do that um, at the time. And I didn't use it all straight away, but it really planted some good seeds, and it helped me have a deeper understanding of what people were going through at the time as well. And you're right, the industry, there's multiple qualifications you can get now. Even 2012, I learned or upskilled myself to become a trainer and educator for personal trainers, and was delivering courses, both hybrid courses and sort of on a freelance basis. People would come to me to do their assessments and get taught how to become a personal trainer. And even that, I was like, this content it's not actually what, well, some of it, of course, personal trainers needed, but I don't think it covered a broad enough spectrum of enough skills to help people really change their lives, which is why a lot of people become a personal trainer.
Just so to put some context, with kind of what is it that you do now? Like what do you do? What's your week like? What do you do with clients now? It's obviously very different than back then.
Very different. I am now a nutrition and behaviour change coach, and I absolutely love what I do. I mostly work online. I still teach some classes, and I only step foot in the gym to have my own workouts.
How is that? Do you miss the old days? Is it like a? I nearly said a young person's game, and then I was like, you can't say that, but I did. Is it a young person's game? Is it like? Is there any of it you miss?
I miss the camaraderie between PTs and being on the gym floor. I've been a gym floor manager, a gym manager, a personal training manager, a student. My biggest drinking days, and I do miss that aspect of constantly making new friends through the gym. But I'm also in an age where I don't necessarily need that anymore. And that is all I miss.
Do you find the work more interesting now?
It's life changing. It's changed my whole life more than I thought it ever could, as much as it changes the people I work with. And it's so rewarding. Sounds cheesy, but it doesn't feel like work. It feels like this is what I'm meant to do.
I'm going to ask you some questions about what you said at the beginning, if it's all right. Can I?
Sure.
You said something about the working through some eating disorders. What was that?
A trauma response to my childhood, definitely. I'm
assuming this is the after version. At the time, that wasn't what you were experiencing. No. Is this now stuff that you now know? Like, I am interested in this, but like, what at the time, what actually was going on?
Needing a sense of control over some aspect of my life. At the time, I wouldn't have said I knew that at the time. I know that now. There was also the era of, which I talk about now a lot in my marketing actually, like the 90s era of, low fat, everyone like skinny this, skinny that. And my family aren't blessed with lean genes, let's put it that way. And it's something that I wanted to have a control over. And now I know that actually it was a focus and a coping mechanism going through some tumultuous trauma in my childhood.
I'm really, because I agree with you. Like I think there's a few things that when I was growing up, I'm going to say this in the most polite way, but like no one wanted a big arse, and I don't know if this is the way I should talk about it, but I'm going to. Like there was a person that I went to school with, and she had a large bottom. And everyone would just be really mean to her. But now I'm assuming everyone now would be like, I want to be like her. Like the idea of like, that was not a good thing. I don't know if it was just because, I don't know, the age group. Like Kate Moss, what did she say? Nothing tastes as good as being skinny. Like, I'm not, obviously don't know many people that age my niece, but she's not going to be telling me this stuff. Like, I'm assuming eating disorders are probably worse now because of the internet and because of social media. But I also see that, I wonder whether that's morphed into a lot of gym culture as well, which there's a lot of younger people, which is really good, and especially girls that train. But I also wonder, like, is that just the same crutch as what used to be just like female friends I knew? I never, I'm not sure if any of them got like really bad, but there would be discussions about this, and someone like eating, was it eating? I think one of them would eat tissue, like, and just things like this. Yeah, because it makes you, fills you up. Apparently, I don't know. Was it normal? Was it just you, or was there other people that were doing this? Like, when did you know it was a problem, or I guess when was the moment that you realised this is actually a problem?
When my mum found my eating diary that I used to keep, this was back in the paper days. I used to keep an eating diary so that I could, I mean, I was tracking calories, I guess. I wanted to keep under 1,000 calories a day because it felt like some sort of achievement at the time. And yeah, and then I was like, oh, that's not good. And I remember going shopping, and a size 6 denim skirt, because they were really cool at the time, fell off me, and they didn't have a smaller size, and I stood in the changing room and cried and was like, this is not cool. This is really not cool. And I had low energy, like didn't have any enthusiasm or energy to do anything. I had to stop dancing for a while. So it was, yeah, it was huge. And I still didn't understand why I was doing it. It was complete body dysmorphia, I think, by that point.
Did you get treatment, or did it just?
No, no, I didn't. I just had to pull myself through being an adult. I had to grow up really quick. And I had this amazing ability to just get on with it. And becoming a personal trainer was probably the best thing I could do, because I was surrounded by people that wanted to be strong, not necessarily just skinny. And I saw other people in the gym that really were unhealthy. Like, we had to stop them going to the gym because they were like, no one would look at me and be like, oh, that's really not good. My family could tell a difference in my body, but you wouldn't look at me from a distance and be like, oh, she doesn't eat enough. It didn't get to that stage, but I was around other people that were, and I think that was a wake-up call to me. Like, that woman looks like she is on her deathbed, and she looks 60 and she's 25, pumping away at the cross trainer for 5 hours. That's not a life.
Do you see any correlation with the clients you have? Because I think that I had this conversation the other day on one of these, and it is like, most of the fitness industry, I think, has quite disordered, we'll call it disordered eating. There's certainly a certain sort of sphere of achievement in the industry, which I don't think you've got any choice but to be bordering on structured eating, let's say. Do I think that that's more pervasive with female than male personal trainers? I just think because of the sort of, you can tell me if I'm wrong, I'm more than happy to be told I am wrong, because of the sort of the pathway that male personal trainers have to go. Like, they can't not eat a lot. They have to, the aim is to just keep putting muscle. I know it is for women as well, but like, the sort of ultimate body standard is just huge and stacked. Yes, of course, people that get on stage in the fitness industry want to have muscle, but also it's not quite the same, I'm assuming. Obviously, there's female bodybuilders that do go for it, but I just, like, I think that there's a lot of people in the fitness industry that have seriously disordered eating. But I said this, what I was saying about on the podcast, it's like, clients have the same issues, they just eat donuts. And Ali used to say this, she's like, but you guys just all decide to lift deadlifts, and it's the same underlying issues. We've just found a way to a healthy habit to conquer some of the demons. What do you think?
Well, having been through the bodybuilding phase myself, that was very challenging and very eye-opening. And I now work with a lot of people that have a really bad relationship with food, and that comes from conditioning earlier on, often. Or some
I'm
form of
assuming
trauma
that
as
their
well.
situation is that they've got, most of the time, I'm assuming there's a bad relationship with food, but they've also overweight as well at the same time. Do you think there's correlation still, though?
Yeah, massive. And it's something that people live with for their whole life, or can do if they don't try to address it. If they're not aware enough to want to address that relationship, it becomes all consuming for them. And I think it's really sad to see.
Go on, I know we can't just talk about individuals, but what's some examples of situations you've had, clients, the story, the work you've done with them, and what they've ended up discovering? And by the way, I'm really interested. I'm gonna tell you about a conversation I had with a client once, and it just blew my mind. But I'd love to hear from you.
I think it's really interesting that it can come from different things. So I think we come from a world where we are treated when we're good, like dogs. You know, well done, here's your ice cream. If you're good, you will get a chocolate bar. And we've got this chemical reward in the brain of, here's your treat, you've done something good. And that links to food. And it's not like, oh, you've been really good, here's your fruit bowl. And it's, for some people, it's as simple as that. It's a reward system. You know, I have clients that use the word treats. They're not dogs, but as adults in their 40s, in their 50s, they still feel like they need to treat themselves, or they deserve to treat themselves. And they've never been taught moderation, which is really interesting. I also think there's an interesting relationship with restriction and scarcity and lack that leads to. I've worked with clients who have been part of big families, or families that weren't very financially well off when they were younger, and there wasn't a lot of food. So whatever was on your plate, you ate it because you weren't sure when the next meal was coming from. And that has meant that they overeat all the time. So they've got this relationship with food where they don't know when to stop because they're programmed to always eat what's in front of them. So a buffet is like their idea of hell. And I think being able to have a level of control without it feeling like I have to have control, because it's constantly there, like this, you know, you and I have talked about this before, food noise. It's like constantly thinking about food, not being present to the moment and to the people, to the situations you're in. It's just this food noise constantly. And that I can speak to that from a bodybuilding perspective as well, because your whole day evolves around your 5 or your 6 meals of this is exactly what I'm going to eat at that point. We do not deviate from that plan. You don't get treats. You don't have any more, whether you are hungry or not. That is what you eat. And you go from restriction to, I don't know if you've ever hung out with someone the day after they've done a bodybuilding show that hasn't been taught how to reverse diet efficiently, and they will eat like someone who has not been fed for a year. And it's disgusting. And it's this huge binge, and it's like, you know, it's like the elastic band of this restriction, and boom, straight into having everything they couldn't have. And it's a really interesting relationship that people can have with food. And I think the marketing industries now are constantly trying to feed us ultra processed foods, and it doesn't give a lot of people a good chance for decent health because they don't have the guidance without someone telling them what a healthy diet is and explaining why they need better nutrients in their body. Then they're just going to keep doing what the marketing is throwing down their throat because they don't know any different.
So I'm assuming that when I hear this, I'm assuming that, well, this would be my thought process. Am I going to get pushback from helping people understand that they need to eat more nutritious food? I mean, maybe. I mean, pushback and compliance are different things. Like,
Yeah.
the other part, though, do you get pushback when you have these conversations with clients, or does it make sense to them, or do they, first of all, like, that must take a little bit of thinking, and I don't even want to say acceptance. I just, because I'm assuming people aren't coming to you at the beginning going, I know what I eat this stuff because of what I was like when I was a child. I'm assuming they're just like, oh, I don't know what to do. Gemma, help me out, please. I've got no clue what to eat. So telling them what to eat
Yeah.
seems to be the thing that they would be more expecting and accepting of. Do you get pushback when you have these conversations with clients?
Initially, yeah. Lots of that I think it takes a little while for them to understand that they are treating themselves, or that actually, what their relationship is with food and why that's come about, and actually there is a path or a mindset that could potentially be healthier and be a lot less straining on them mentally long term and physically, of course. But it takes a while. There is always pushback, and it's like this process that I see most of my clients go through, which is why I work for them for a minimum of 12 weeks, because you can't change that kind of stuff in a couple of weeks. It's not here's a plan and this is what you should be eating, because once people have got addictions to certain foods or habits they've created or beliefs, that's what needs to be shifted.
The client I was saying, and this is before I was doing lots of coaching, kind of practicing it, and we were I was just personal training her, but we just like chatting every now and then we did a little bit more, and we kind of got to know each other, and I'd sort of spend a bit of time talking to her about stuff. And then she had this realization once where I was like, so what is it that you tend to eat in these moments? And it was like this sort of, like, she just sort of had this realization. She's like, I go and eat, and she said, I sometimes can't help myself, and I'll go and eat half a loaf of white bread with jam on it. And I was like, well, number one, I'm not like anything in that moment. I'm present, I'm listening, I'm not judgmental. But, I'm still like, whoa, bloody hell, like, that seems extreme. And maybe she was being hyperbolic, I don't know. And then I was like, tell me about that. And she just started getting it in her mind. I could see it. She's like, you know what? And then she's like, I was like, where did that start? And this is what I said about, do you get pushback? Because, like, the first question wasn't, do you remember your childhood and why this did this to you? But I was like, can you remember that start? And then she was like, oh my God. And then she started saying, she goes, that's the food I used to go and have my grandma. She was Greek, and she was like, my grandma used to give me when I went around there after school. And she's like, oh, and she had this realization, and she was like, oh my God. She's like, and I was like, she found it very, I don't think it was difficult to deal with, just eye-opening. Now, I'm not saying that we fixed that situation, because it wasn't, I was kind of training her a bit, and I was asking her, and she's just like, this realization that, like, that's what she's doing. And I wonder sometimes how clients are willing to take that on board, or do they like push back? And it's like, because that is the reality of where a lot of people's, it's not, if I say a lot of people, you can tell me you know more than me, is a lot of people's relationship comes from with food. But we're only dealing with the people that have disordered relationships, because we could all have a certain relationship with food based on, how we grew up. But if it's not a problem in the sense of we're not either not eating enough or not really overweight, we probably never need to really even think about it or tackle it because it's not a problem. Whereas these people, obviously, there is a problem that they see, otherwise they wouldn't come to you. And I'm just always fascinated by like how long it takes for someone to get the penny dropped or drops.
Great question. The comfort eating conversation is a lot easier than, and I think people accept comfort eating. It's spoken to a lot more than, maybe some deeper issues with food or where it's come from. Um, Comfort eating itself is, people are I think they're a little bit more aware of it. They know that people come to me and they say, I'm a comfort eater. They've given themselves a label that I comfort eat. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily ready to unpack why they're comfort eating, but they want to work on the comfort eating. They want to find ways to stop doing that. And it does mean that often they do need to address what they're uncomfortable about. And, but I think they're a lot more accepting of the fact that they're aware that they comfort eat. Something's uncomfortable, or they're tired, or they're stressed, and procrastination. Let's go to the fridge. I think, I have clients that say it to me. They're like, oh, yeah, I was, had a carb heavy week because I was comfort eating because there's a lot going on. It's their go-to, it's been their coping mechanism. Early on, people are aware of comfort eating. And I think it takes a while for them to understand where the comfort eating comes from in some cases. And why they still turn to it as opposed to, wanting to deal with whatever's coming up for them.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I don't think, especially our generation, should we say, I don't think people were well equipped to, to reflect and to deal with their issues, trauma, stress resilience. It was.
I mean, I dealt with it
especially
pretty
in the UK.
I dealt with it pretty well every weekend by not sleeping and
Right?
all night. I dealt with it really well until I didn't.
Yeah.
It's interesting when I hear you, 'cause I'm like, sometimes I wonder whether you need to take the thing away as well, because it's only when you take the thing away when they actually really start to feel the things that they're trying to medicate with the food. So when you take the thing away, is probably when it feels a lot worse. But I wonder whether that's actually what, this is my opinion as well, it's like what people actually need to do. You have to take the thing away in the right sequence for them then to be able to actually feel all of like, what is it I am actually not wanting to feel, which is why I've got a very, Russell Brand talks about it. I think it was Russell Brand. No, or maybe it was might be Gabor Mate. I know they're not the same people, but and he was like, you have to congratulate people who end up taking heroin, because it's like they feel all this shame about it. It's like, well done, you found the thing that actually allowed you to cope with everything. Obviously this is dialed up like 20 times, and he's like, well done, you found the thing that you were able to just cope with everything that was going on. Like, almost like, how clever are you? And it's only when you take that away, which obviously you need to in these situations, you're left with the thing that you didn't want to look at or feel, etc. Let me ask this, do you find it different working with men and women? And I know you work mostly with women, but like, do you find doing this kind of work that we're talking about, do you think that it's different when it's a male client or a female client?
It definitely depends on the person, but yes, on the whole, let's go on, a percentage basis. On the whole, women open up and are a little bit more aware, a little bit quicker, should we say. I think there's a bit more resistance with males because, especially where I've lived, you know, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, they grow up with the mindset of just get on with it. Like, man up, get on with it. And sitting and dealing with their emotions and addressing those things is not something that, it's not cool for one, and it's not something that they've ever been able to do or been supported through. And I do find that there's a little bit more resistance from men than there is women when it comes to wanting to get to the root cause of, you know, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, the relationships that they have with it, because it's impacting their whole life. You know, how they show up at work, how they show up for their family. It has a huge impact. So it needs unpacking. It just takes a while, and yeah, definitely longer for men than women.
Do you see more of their coping mechanisms being alcohol? Not saying that women don't drink, they clearly do. Do you see more men reaching for alcohol?
No, not in my experience. I mean, if we were to do a survey, it's very possible. But I also think that women, a lot more women drink now than possibly they used to. You know, we've got this wine anytime kind of culture, and
You know, it's not there in the youth.
everything that we do. No,
You know,
I think it's great. I think it's amazing. This no and low alcohol is it. I love it. I think it's amazing. It's teaching their parents and their parents' friends that actually you can go out and still do all these social events without having to have a drink. Because I've got friends that won't go out without a drink. You know, if they're not drinking for whatever reason, they just won't go out. It's not a thing.
what are you excited about going forward? Keep asking this question. I like this question. What are you excited about?
I'm excited about creating more change. And as you know, I now sort of move into corporate settings as well. And it's amazing how many people are really unaware of, you know, how to enhance their whole life with some really simple steps. And the more we can spread that word and help from my perspective, you know, a lot more women I work with now, but, you know, helping women in the workplace, I think that is something that's really powerful, and it's a story that's changing. I know it's changing a lot in the UK as well, but women, when they get to a certain age, a lot of things shift for them more so than I ever realised. Now I'm working with a lot more women in this very close capacity. I'm understanding what they're going through emotionally, what it is to be a 40-plus-year-old woman in a workplace, and how their whole life is impacted by their hormones, their food, their relationship with alcohol, should we say. And I'm excited that the narrative is shifting, and I'm a part of that. And yeah, it's really powerful. It's really magical to be able to help people with that.
And when you say the narrative,
And it is,
what do you mean?
there's a lot more talk about, you know, nervous system regulation, menopause, perimenopause. I think there's a lot more support now. You know, it's blown up on social media. There's a lot of buzzwords, could we say, but people are a lot more open to talking about it and asking for help and understanding that they do need lifestyle changes for longevity, to feel good, which is what they deserve. You know, and to have a good relationship with themselves, to eat well, to feel good, because they deserve to. And I think that's really important. I think it's amazing that there has been a shift. You know, it's a positive of social media. It's a positive of having these little boxes in front of us that constantly give us information, is that people are a lot more aware of it. You know, that they need help, that they need support, and that they haven't necessarily had it.
Gemma, where can people get hold of you? In fact, tell me that, but also who do you generally work with? So I'm watching this and I'm like, I might be interested. Like, who would I be? Like, generally, who is it that you help?
You would be a female in your 40s or 50s that is keen to reduce your waistline and have more energy and show up in a world that in a way that you really want to.